Hi, my name is Jack Kahn. I'm a psychology professor, a researcher and writer, and a community activist, currently living in Jamaica Plain, Massachusetts in the United States. Last year I wrote my first textbook, An Introduction to Masculinities. It's a feminist perspective on varying ways in which researchers and scholars define and understand what masculinity means and how that information then is used to understand different struggles that people are in that construct themselves as masculine. You know, instead of, this is kind of like an overview kind of thing, and then I decided I wanted to do something more specific, and the plan was to do a series of projects that would then culminate in book number 2. So that's kind of what I've been working on. One of my interests is in understanding ways in which people resist what's called dominant masculinity. So what I was interested in was sort of joining this area of research that doesn't focus on the problems of dominance, but rather the benefits of resisting dominance. My thought was, and other researchers like myself, is that there are people who identify themselves and view themselves as masculine or male, etc., but they try to resist being dominant, that they find different ways of thinking about what masculinity means. And so my interest was in trying to figure out different communities where that might be happening, and then understanding, well, what does masculinity mean to that group?
About 2 years ago, I learned about dialogical self theory and thought, what a perfect way to capture discourses and dialogues that people use to co-construct masculinities in various contexts. So I reasoned that because gender seems to be such an important way that people construct the self and negotiate with others, that perhaps dialogical self theory could be used to explore masculinities. In other words, maybe it could help us understand the ways in which people negotiate different versions or different ways of experiencing masculinity as they negotiate gender in different relationships and in different social contexts. So my interest has been in identifying communities that question dominant and hegemonic masculinity, to use dialogical self-theory to understand resistance to hegemonic masculinity, and to create a model for exploring dialogical masculinities. 2 dialogical masculinities projects have been presented so far. The first on the youth team at Close to Home here in Boston, Massachusetts, at the International Congress for Personal Construct Psychology in Venice, and the second with House of Debus, a local theater drag performance troupe at the International Social Science Conference in Cambridge, UK. The work is resulting in diverse constructions of hegemonic resistant masculinities in various communities. The current project being analyzed is with True Colors, an LGBTQ and ally group, in order to understand men, women, and trans folks' constructions of masculinities. The plan now is to do a few more community projects, ideally with an international focus, and to use that material for my second text on dialogical masculinities. In addition, I'm in the process of creating an online assessment tool that will measure different dialogues of masculinity present in various relationships in our lives. For more information on current projects and my work, visit www.jackkahn.com.